Welcome to the Glazier Nation podcast. My guest today is Ashley Cline. Ashley is a talent advisor specializing in the glass and glazing industry. If you're in the glass and glazing industry and you're on LinkedIn, there's a high probability that you're already connected with Ashley. Ashley and I discussed advice for both job seekers and employers, the evolution of the employee and employer relationship, and what makes the glass and glazing industry unique. I had a blast chatting with Ashley, and I hope you enjoy. You're gonna have to fill me in on this. When I was a young man, we called it a headhunter, but you go by talent advisor. Is that correct?
Yes, talent advisor.
So tell me, what's the difference?
So, when I first started in the industry, it was still headhunter. And that kind of had a negative connotation with it, I think. I don't know if you thought it did, but we always had.
I would say, yeah, a little bit. It kind of had that. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a stigma because, a headhunter is somebody who goes out and just hunts for somebody to fill a position. But with a talent advisor, we take the time to build relationships in the industry. We find top talent, and then we just create the relationship and grow it. And we want to have a phone call. With every phone call, we want to figure out what it is that we can do for you and how we can help each other out. So the goal at the end of the call is just to see kind of, are we going to be able to help each other out now, or is it going to be in the future? But it's always going to be at the end of the call, how can I help you? So the goal for management recruiters is to be the go-to person for that.
That sounds good. Yeah. So has that changed to become more relationship based? Was it always that way, and it was just the connotation of headhunter that maybe scared people?
I don't think it's always been relationship based, and I don't think a lot of people still do relationship based recruiting. I get a lot of people who tell me, they're like, oh wow, you actually had a conversation with me. So it's not always been like that.
Okay. And then your background has not always been in glass and glazing. You specialize in glass and glazing now. Is that correct?
Right.
And prior to that, what did you do?
I was in fire protection and electronic security.
So
yeah.
You've been with the glass and glazing people for over a year now. Is that correct?
Yeah, it'll be 2 years in February.
Okay. So tell us why glass and glazing is better than everything else.
Well, everybody here is such a big family, and everybody just has so much fun together. It's, we can cut up, but also if you need anything, everybody's there to help. So I feel like it's a lot better.
My entire career has been in glass and glazing. So and I'm joking why we're better, but are the other trades, are they equally unique? Do they have personalities of their own, or is glass and glazing just kind of a different animal?
I think everybody's pretty unique. Like with fire protection and security, we have, there was still relationships there, but I don't know, you kind of see the community come together, like LinkedIn, everybody comes and you'll see everybody comment on each other's stuff and share it and try to help out. So that community is there.
That's good. So it's not just glass and glazing, it's everywhere else, right?
Yeah.
Getting back to talent advisory, what advice would you give someone that was looking for a job or looking to advance their career?
First advice I would give them is just give us a call. We're here to help you. And we are, like talent advisor, the name says it all. We're here to advise you in different things. So you need to know kind of what you're looking for when you give us a call. And we'll have that conversation with you to try to pinpoint it down. A lot of people will say that it's, oh, I'm looking for more money, but that's not really what it comes down to. Yes, more money is what everybody wants, but there's something else that drives them to look for a new opportunity. And we want to have that conversation and figure it out.
What are some examples of what you've kind of drilled down to? So I do a similar process when I'm talking to, let's say, an architect or a designer, a builder. A lot of times, again, it's going to differ from money, but in that case, it's we want X. and they usually have a specific product or look or something in mind, right? But like I always find we have to kind of drill down to what they actually want, and then I'll be able to tell them what that X is, like what gets them what they actually want. So what's maybe an example of something that someone brought to you looking for a job, looking for a career advancement, and you were able to kind of break that shell down and find out what they actually wanted?
I feel like most people, if you really listen to them, they're looking for a culture. Um, you know, a company that's gonna have the benefits that they want, the people that they want to work around, and just somewhere where they go where they're happy every day. And that's what we want too. We want to make sure that we're putting like each person into a company where they're going to feel like they can succeed.
Yeah, that's huge. Waking up and actually wanting to go do your job. Do you work with all levels of glass and glazing, or is it just specifically like manufacturers?
We've done anywhere from the field all the way up to president level. So
Okay,
um, I mean, there's companies that need everybody.
sure.
As far as like glaziers, we don't really do too much with glaziers, but we do project management, estimating are two of our big ones that we do.
Okay. And then on the flip side of that, what advice would you give employers that are looking to acquire talent?
Still, number one would be call us.
Okay.
But definitely want to know what they want. So why is this position open? What have they done to fill it previously? And then, we want to figure out their culture as well, so that whenever we do talk to someone who's looking for a job seeker, we know what this company, what their culture is, because we want to make it a fit. We want to make sure that it's like a puzzle piece, and they fit into this company.
And maybe what's an example there where, and this is something, and we'll probably get into this here, but like, has there ever been a case where an employer was looking for something and then maybe you found them something that wasn't exactly that, but it was actually a better fit? Is that something that ever happens?
Yeah. So, I mean, like we say, hey, here's this person. They've got these qualities. Maybe it's not exactly what they thought they were looking for, but here you have this, and this is how it can help you out. Because if you listen to what they're looking for, maybe you'll be able to find somebody that has all of those qualities and more.
So maybe the employer has an idea, but maybe the role has changed. I mean,
Mhm.
I think every niche of the construction industry, everything is changing rapidly, right? And to be able to, I think, just acquire good people should probably be the priority over filling specific role. Do you find that is the case with anybody?
Yeah. And if if I'm talking to somebody and they're a good person, but we have a company that we've worked with in the past, and maybe they're not looking for that person now, but we're like, hey, you need to speak to this person. They're a good fit for your company. I know you don't have that opening right now, but you really need to just take the time to talk with them.
I think that's super important sometimes, just having a conversation with somebody, because it may not be, even if the person's not looking for an opportunity now, or the company's not looking to fill a role now, establishing that relationship. And if you guys can kind of be the bridge to get that going, that's awesome.
Yeah. And that's why I just tell people all the time, just have a conversation with us. Even if I'm not going to help you now, you never know what happens down the road. We never knew what was going to happen in 2020. Nobody had saw that coming. So, if you've already got the relationship established, then all you have to do is pick up the phone. And that's, cold calls with headhunters. Cold calls were huge. With us, the warm call is a lot better. And so with the relationships that we've established, we can just pick up the phone and be like, hey, I've got this position that I'm working on now. It might not be a good fit for you, but do you have anybody that that we should reach out to? So the warm calls, I think, are a lot better, and because you already have that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if people had a defense against cold calls 10 years ago, I mean, it's got to be 50 times the amount of defense now, to be able to take, not only to take the call, but to then entertain it in a way that you feel you're going to get value from is probably very rare on a cold call. I mean, I get recruiters calling me that I've never heard of, I'm not connected to on LinkedIn. And I mean, I can't tell you how fast I delete those messages. It's just, there's nothing there to start that conversation. Maybe that's ignorant of me. I don't know. You mentioned, things changing 2022. What's been the biggest change in the employer-employee relationship over the last 2 years?
I feel like with 2020, because everybody had to shut down, but obviously we're still essential. So they had to find a way to work. So a lot of companies were moving towards remote work, and now they see that you can be successful at home. And so I think a lot more companies are more open to that mindset. So they've done a kind of change in mindset with that work from home opportunities and having a little more flexible hours and things like that.
Along those lines, and we touched on kind of acquiring talent. Something that I feel is important. I'm not sure if it is. You can tell me maybe from your experiences with employers and employees. Getting the talent and then maybe molding to that person. Do you find employers are doing this at all? Instead of just this, 1985 project manager does X, Y, and Z. Do you find people are kind of molding that position to do different things now?
Definitely. Before people would just, they have to be a project manager. They have to have that experience. But now I think a lot more companies are open to molding someone into that role, and they'll provide the training. I think training has been a lot, they've given a lot more training now than they did before 2020, because, the industry is getting older. And so we have to bring in new talent. And it's not just bringing in younger people. You also can bring in people from other industries, because it's not just, anybody can learn an industry, but if you have the characteristics and the drive, that's really all you need to be able to work in the industry. So I think a lot more people are open to do the training.
How do you kind of bridge that subject with an employer? Are they already open to that, or is that something you kind of have to finesse a little?
I think it would kind of be something that you'd have to finesse a little bit, just because, a lot of people are still wanting somebody who's got that experience, somebody who can hit the ground running. So you have to say, this person has this, and I know that's something that was important to you, and they're willing to learn.
Yeah, I can't agree more with you there. And I think it's every level, right? I think it's, I mean, if you talk to my customers, they would say the same about installers, is that in the past, you used to get a Glazier and they knew this, and that, right? Now it's more about just getting someone who's motivated and who's willing to learn and show up and then teach them those items. So I find a lot of my customers aren't even using the term Glazier anymore. They're using installer, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of get someone who's good and then teach them the things you want them to do.
Yeah, get somebody who's going to show up to work and be willing to do the job.
Yeah, I think that's important. I mean, speaking from personal experience, I know when I got hired for my current position, I know there was a bit of a hurdle because I didn't have sales experience, but I had tons of glass and glazing experience. So I don't know if there was a bit of a finesse there, but it's worked out pretty well, I think. Maybe that's another.
I mean, you've got to know your product. So if you're a salesperson, that's a personality. If you know the product, that you're going to be able to sell it.
Yeah, I think it's like, I had strengths and I had weaknesses, right? And then it's just get someone who's willing to work on those weaknesses. And I think you have a good person for any level, for any position. Now, if they don't have any strengths, I guess that's a problem there. I don't know.
Yeah. Or if somebody says they don't have weaknesses, that's a weakness.
Yeah,
We
you
all
can
have something that we can work on.
you can Google that if that's an interview question, because I've Googled that before too. And you are not supposed to say that you don't have weaknesses. You're supposed to find. It's been a while since I looked up that question, but you're supposed to find like something in yourself, and then explain how you can get better. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or say, well, I think this is my weakness, and this is, but I think that it's actually a good thing because, spin it around to be a positive.
I see. That's a good question. Is that the hardest interview question, or is there like a new interview question I'm not aware of?
I think the hardest thing is whenever they just ask you about yourself.
Tell me
And I
about
think,
yourself.
yeah, because what am I supposed to tell you?
Yeah.
So you kind of want to talk to them about, kind of want to put the ball in their court and say, you get in there first and say, you know what, I've researched the job a little bit. I've talked to, most of the time we tell people, hey, I've talked to Ashley about the position. She's given me a couple of different bullets on everything, or some background. Can you tell me what you expect of me in this role? And then it kind of puts the ball in their court, and you can take some notes and try to figure out, hey, this is what they're looking for. And that way, whenever it comes back to you, you've got some points to go on.
I'd also throw out there that you could just outright lie about yourself. No one's ever going to look up if you're a tennis player or if you like to swim in the morning. You could
I
just make
always look
these
it
things
up.
up.
I love Google, so I'm gonna look it up. If somebody tells me they used to be a pro golfer, I'm gonna look it up and see.
That is fair. There was someone in our little league division that I did fact checked because they said they played at a certain university, and they actually did. So they passed the background check. But I take back what I said. You can't just lie. People might look it up.
I do. I tell people all the time. I'm like, yeah, I played basketball in high school. I mostly sat on the bench, but I did play.
But if you did just want to say that you enjoyed like bird watching or something, I guess that could backfire though. That could backfire because if they're like a bird watcher, they'll start asking you about birds.
True. Yeah,
Sorry, we've gone off the rails
first.
here a little. You and the way we connected was on LinkedIn, and you use LinkedIn and your social media background to help leverage your current position. When did you find out that was going to work?
I think I came into the job that I'm at now. I came into this knowing that because with fire protection, because they had the groups, they had groups on Facebook, and they had groups that I would try to join just to try to figure out the industry, because I came into that industry not knowing it too. So I think that I found that out pretty quickly, that social media is going to be how you find out about the industry, and because you have the groups that you can go in and you can look at the posts and you can ask questions inside those groups. They might not always be nice about answering the questions, but you do have those resources. And I think that was huge when I first came into the glass industry. One of the first pages that I connected with was Glazier Nation. And, they've got over 20,000 people that follow them on Facebook. And I was like, wow, this is huge. This is a huge resource. So I connected with them, and I was just, talking with people in the group and trying to come up with posts that would be interactive and people would comment. And so that's how I got to know everybody over there. And I think it's been a huge thing just to have those groups and people that you can work with and who you can create the relationships with that are going to help you out, and you can help them out as well.
I didn't know about the Glazier Nation Facebook group until I met Matt. And since I have joined it, I have to say it's probably the most entertaining thing on my Facebook feed.
Definitely is.
People post a lot of cool pictures, but you got to dive into the comments because they are often hilarious.
They're my favorite.
And
yeah,
all
I had,
these algorithms figure out what you like immediately. So now when I open up that app, I mean, the first things on my feed are Glazier Nation items. So if
yeah.
you have not checked that out, highly recommend it.
Oh, I do. I actually commented on one yesterday because this guy was like, Matt had posted something on the page and this guy said, I have blocked you 6 different times. Why do I still see your information? And I commented back to him, I'm like, probably because it's his group.
uh,
So, I mean, you know, if you don't want to see it, keep scrolling. There's going to be a lot of stuff on social media that you see that you might not agree with, but
yeah,
there's a little scroll button on your mouse. Just
yeah.
keep going.
You can hide things. You can keep
Yeah.
going. Something I do find interesting, kind of based off what you said there, is learning the industry, learning the people in the industry. I find the connections and the content on social media just also keeps it interesting, right? It's like I have great customers and we always have great conversations, but it's interesting to see stuff from different areas or different people with different positions. So I always find it interesting to hop on there and kind of see what's going on or see what people think of things. So I agree. And now the majority of your contacts, your relationship building, is it done through social media or does it start with the cold calls we talked about before? How does it kind of begin? Is it a mix?
The majority of my contacts are through social media, but
Okay.
I still do the calls. I do not do as many cold calls. I have, I'll send a message first to somebody. I'll send a message on LinkedIn and then once I get their phone number, I'll give them a call. But I always want to have it to be a warm conversation. I don't like the cold calls. We still do them, but it's not my number one thing. And I think that if you would talk to somebody who's a job seeker or somebody who you're going to work with, they're not going to want to do a cold call either. So we try to do like, you know, I'm gonna send you a text. I'll send you an email. I'll make sure that I cover all the bases so that it's not just me reaching out one time and then it's just a conversation that you just forget. So
Yeah, and you know, like I said, I've had lots of different people over the years reach out, whether you want to call them headhunters, talent advisors, and I would say definitely the ones that are more attention grabbing are following the path that you've laid out. They've tried to connect some way before the phone call, and then when the phone call comes, you're at least aware. You know, they leave. Let's say they left a voicemail. You're aware. Oh, hey, that's that guy from, or that's that girl from. So I
right.
agree. It's a good way to kind of bridge the gap between cold call and warm call, if you will.
Yeah, and I think even okay, so I reach out to people even if I don't have a position open for them. And I'll start a conversation with them and they're like, oh, you're a real person. And I think that it's a huge thing because I try to do something personal. I'll go to their page and I'll see like where they went to school or where they live and try to make like conversation like that. And I think that's huge with people. They want to have that personalized conversation. So I try to do a little bit like that. And so I'm not just a face on the screen.
I, Along exactly what you said, I've got one that's a little out there, and you can tell me how insane I am. A lot of the profile pictures I see for headhunters, talent advisors, happen to be female and generally attractive. I had a theory that some of them are probably fake. Is there any validity to that? Do people make fake LinkedIn profiles to try and do job placement?
I would hope not, but I don't know. I have no idea. I know, I
Okay.
mean, obviously, you know, seeing somebody's like picture, you're gonna be like, oh, let me talk to them. But I don't know that there's any fake ones. If I find out, I'll let you know.
Okay. I might I might
I
have
don't know for sure.
I might have to dive deeper into this. Yeah, I had this theory that that's where they start, right? And then like that's how they generate leads.
Could be.
You've proven me wrong at least for one of them. So we'll go
Yeah.
with that.
I
Um
always tell, I try to post more than just one picture so that way people know that I'm real. And that's what I'll post it and say, hey, just wanted to post some more pictures so I'm real.
Right. That's a good concept. I guess it could be a thing. I mean, not just in LinkedIn and job seeking. I mean, fake profiles to try and get over on somebody is a thing. So
Catfish recruiting, I don't know.
there you go. There you go. Ashley, if people wanted to get a hold of you, what is the best way to do so?
You can reach out to me on my LinkedIn profile, or you can give us a call. It's 704-896-8890. And we have several different recruiters, so anybody there can help you out.
That's another thing I learned is that you all specialize, right? So you're glass and glazing. I was trying to help my brother-in-law. He's an electrician. But he does like estimating, project management, and I was trying to help him get connected with someone. And I not only found that you have to be specialized in that, but then in electric, there's like utility electric, and like I got into this whole bee's hive of how I was talking to the wrong people. So
yeah, I mean, it's very, very niche for everything. And we do have someone who does windows and doors. We have somebody who does glazing. We have someone who does general contracting, and we also have chemicals.
I mean, if it works, it works. So keep it going.
Yeah.
Ashley, thanks again so much for your time. I greatly appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Have a great night.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.